As long as you allow it, insecurity will take over your life. It will interfere with your decisions, steal your courage, and make you think you are less than you really are. But the truth is clear. You weren't born to live shrinking. You don't need to solve everything today, nobody can, but you need to decide one important thing now, that you will not continue living as someone who doubts themselves all the time. One single step, one single firm choice can already begin to change your path. Because the moment you say, "I'm going to try even if I'm afraid," is the moment your strength awakens. It's like a light that has always been inside you, waiting for air, waiting for you to stop running away from yourself and start acting like someone who deserves more. This is the teaching of Stoicism. You don't defeat insecurity by pretending it doesn't exist. You win when you choose not to let it make decisions for you. Fear exists, doubt exists, but they only rule as long as you relinquish control. Today you begin to take back that control. Today you stop being just someone who watches their own life unfold and start being the one who truly acts in it. Today you decide to believe in yourself before needing proof. That's how strong people live, and that's how your story begins to change. And it begins now. Write in the comments, "Today I'm going to turn this game around." Because when you write it down, you confirm it to yourself. It's like saying, "I'll start from here." Change is born exactly like that, when you take the decision out of your head and put it into real life. Let's begin. Number 1, change your way of thinking. Insecurity doesn't stem from what happens to you, but from how you understand each situation. Think about how many times you've stopped yourself from trying something easy because you believed you weren't ready yet. How many opportunities at work have you let slip by because you thought it was too much for you? How many important conversations have you postponed because your mind told you that you would mess up? How many times have you avoided looking someone in the eye because you were sure you weren't interesting enough? Sometimes all it takes is a phrase you repeat to yourself: "I will fail. I don't deserve this. I am unable," so that your entire life begins to be built upon this distorted image you've created of yourself. This is what Epictetus was talking about when he said that ordinary people are guided by the fear of appearing incapable when they try something new. This hidden fear changes how you act with your children, when you avoid showing weakness because you think you need to be strong all the time. It changes how you behave with your partner, when you hold back your emotions because you think it will be a hindrance. It changes your professional life, when you don't apply for a better position because you believe you're not good enough. Therefore, changing your results starts with changing how you see yourself internally. It's not about positive thinking, it's about thinking responsibly. It's about stopping repeating names and ideas you've accepted without noticing, and starting to see yourself as someone who can learn, evolve, and become stronger. There's a short phrase that changes everything. What I think about myself influences everything I do. When you change that mindset, your choices change too, your actions change too, and over time your life begins to respond in a different way. Epictetus also said that it's not things that hurt us, but the meaning we give them. And when you learn to give yourself a new meaning, not in terms of less, but in terms of capability, insecurity loses ground and confidence begins to grow where fear once resided. That's how true change is born. Not when the world outside improves, but when you decide to change the way you think about who you are within it. If this message resonated with you, write in the comments, "Today I'm changing my way of thinking." Because everything in your life begins in your mind. And when you change what you think about yourself, you also change what you believe you can experience. Number 2, practice. Practice until you overcome the fear of failure. Nobody starts out knowing everything. And every person who today seems confident, skilled, experienced, or very intelligent was once exactly where you are now. Right in front of the first step, with their heart pounding, full of self-doubt and afraid of doing something wrong. And the only difference between those people and you is that they chose to move forward even while trembling inside. The fear of making mistakes isn't what holds you back. What truly paralyzes you is believing that making mistakes says something bad about who you are, as if a single slip-up could destroy your worth, your honor, or the respect you want to earn. But mistakes don't define anyone. Making mistakes is simply part of the process, like a natural adjustment, a course correction. It's the same as when you pick up a tool for the first time and realize you don't know how to use it properly. You try, change your approach, try again, repeat, fail, succeed, until you figure out how it works. This happens in all areas of life, when you try to be a more present father and speak in a way you didn't intend to. When you decide to train and can't keep up the pace at first. When you take on a bigger task at work and feel you haven't delivered as you imagined. Insecurity doesn't arise from mistakes. It stems from the action you failed to take. Because when you try, even if you do it incorrectly, you learn. But when you don't try, you create a story in your head, saying that something terrible will happen if you move forward. And this story grows so much that it becomes a huge monster, created by yourself, that only disappears when you finally act. The fear of failure diminishes when you begin to see each attempt as training, not punishment. When you understand that the people who have achieved the most in life are precisely those who have stumbled the most. When you realize that no one admires those who have never made a mistake, we admire those who face things even when afraid. Overcoming the fear of failure means replacing the question, what if it goes wrong, with what will I learn if it goes wrong? It's choosing to keep going even when feeling insecure. It's accepting that no step needs to be perfect, it just needs to be real. And when you do that, something changes inside you. Fear ceases to be an enemy and becomes just a warning that you are walking in the right direction, towards the person you can become. Number 3, learn to be your own foundation. One of the biggest misconceptions of those who feel insecure is imagining that strength will come from the outside, as if the praise of others could fill the void that exists within you. You end up waiting for someone to confirm that you are capable, smart enough, interesting enough, and you start measuring your worth by what others think, believe, or accept. But no one finds stability that way. The truth is, your life only begins to change when you learn to rely on yourself from within, when you stop depending on the gaze of others and begin to build a relationship with yourself that is solid, calm, and true. This happens in the most common situations, when you apologize for things you didn't do just to avoid a fight, when someone accepts crumbs of attention for fear of losing someone, when you work far beyond what's necessary to prove you deserve to stay, when he stays quiet because he's afraid of displeasing others, when he hides his abilities so as not to bother anyone. All of this shows a lack of respect for yourself, and self-respect is the foundation of self-confidence. The Stoics knew that no one can give you what you refuse to give yourself. It is up to you to value your own effort, recognize your victories, and correct your mistakes without destroying yourself from the inside. Respecting yourself means choosing what helps you grow, not what earns you approval. It's about setting boundaries, even when you're afraid. It means saying, "This isn't enough for me," even knowing that some people might leave. It's about acknowledging your needs without feeling guilty. It's about keeping your promises to yourself, not to the world. And when you learn to rely on yourself internally, something silently changes. You stop asking for affection as if it were charity. Stop constantly seeking confirmation. Stop living in constant anxiety, afraid of being left behind. And he discovers that true security comes from within, not from applause or praise. Insecurity loses its power when you decide to be your own safe space. And when that strength grows, no one can diminish you, control you, or throw you off balance anymore. Because those who have learned to stay strong on the inside don't fall because of anything on the outside. Number 4, turn comparison into inspiration. Comparison is one of the most silent and dangerous ways to destroy your own strength. It begins subtly. You look at someone else's life, at the results they've achieved, at the courage they demonstrate, at the clarity they seem to have. And without realizing it, you begin to measure your own life by that yardstick. But there's a profound problem with that. That yardstick wasn't made for you. It belongs to someone else's history, time, choices, and pain, not yours. And when you use someone else's path as an absolute reference, the only possible outcome is the feeling that you're falling behind. But that feeling doesn't reveal the truth. It only reveals that you're looking in the wrong place. The Stoics knew this. They realized that envying a result is easy, but understanding the path that led to it requires maturity. Therefore, instead of looking at the other as an enemy, Epictetus suggested that you observe wisely, What does this person do that I haven't yet learned? That's the turning point. Comparison ceases to be poison when you transform it into study. Instead of feeling small in the face of someone else's success, you begin to use it as a map. Because nothing in another person's life diminishes your own potential unless you choose to interpret it that way. When you see someone moving forward, it doesn't mean you're behind, it means there's a possible path. When you see someone courageous, it doesn't mean you're a coward, it means courage is trainable. When you see someone achieving something great, it doesn't mean you've wasted time. It means there's time for everyone and you still have yours. Comparison only hurts when you look at someone else's success as a threat. But when you understand that that success can illuminate your own path, everything changes. The same scene that once diminished you begins to propel you forward. Turning comparison into inspiration means changing the question. Stop asking, why can he do it and I can't? And start asking, what can I learn from this? When you make this switch, your mind stops functioning as an enemy and starts functioning as an ally. Comparison becomes fuel. It shows you what's possible, reveals where you can still grow, illuminates potential you might not even see on your own. Another person's success ceases to be a mirror that hurts you and becomes a window that shows you new horizons. It's not about blindly admiring or copying anyone, but about observing attitudes that strengthen, habits that build, and postures that elevate, and bringing that into your life in your own way, at your own pace, with your own truth. Comparison is detrimental when it turns into competition. Comparison transforms when it becomes a reference point. You are not here to be better than anyone else. You are here to be better than you were yesterday. That's what the Stoics called inner progress, the silent victory of a disciplined day over a mediocre one, of an honest choice over an excuse, of a firm step over a postponed one. What others do can inspire, but it should never dictate who you are. So the next time you look at someone and feel that familiar pang, whether it's envy, sadness, or inadequacy, take a deep breath and change the meaning. The right question isn't, why am I not like that? The correct question is, how can this help me grow? So, what once diminished you begins to strengthen you, and you discover little by little that no comparison has the power to hurt you when you choose to transform it into motivation to become your best version. Because when the mind learns to inspire itself instead of punishing itself, the world ceases to be a race and becomes a field of possibilities. Number 5. Surround yourself with people who strengthen your courage, not those who fuel your doubts. There is something profoundly true about human beings. We become like what we hear every day. The strength you feel or the insecurity you carry rarely arise from nothing. They are almost always direct responses to the environment you place yourself in. People are like mirrors. Some show your strength, others show your fear. Some remind you of the path you want to follow, others pull you back to the lesser version of yourself, the one you were already trying to leave behind. And that is why Epictetus insisted so much on the idea that no soul remains steadfast when surrounded by voices that weaken its conviction. The truth is, your heart knows exactly that. Think about how you feel after talking to someone who believes in you. Your mind opens, your body breathes, ideas flow. Now remember how you feel after spending time with people who mock your plans, doubt your steps, or treat your dreams as exaggeration. Your energy becomes heavy, your vision clouded, your willpower shrinks. This is not a coincidence. It's a consequence. Doubt grows in fertile ground, and that ground is often the people you choose to listen to. The Stoics called this beware of company, not because we should live in isolation, but because the mind is malleable. It absorbs tones, moods, beliefs, and fears with the same ease with which it absorbs courage, calm, and wisdom. The problem is that many people spend their entire lives surrounded by people who don't want to grow, who complain about everything, who give up at the first obstacle, who criticize those who try something different because they can't stand to see someone doing what they are afraid to do, and you end up confusing this noise with truth. But there's an important detail. You'll never become strong if you continue living around those who pride themselves on being weak. You'll never develop courage if your days are filled with people who feed the worst in your mind: fear, indecision, doubt. Courage is a muscle, and like any muscle, it needs the right stimuli. It needs people who propel you forward, not sabotage you. People who celebrate your progress and also correct you when you stray from yourself. People who don't laugh at your ambition, but remind you that you are capable of going beyond what you think. This isn't about arrogance, it's about taking responsibility for yourself. You're building a life. That requires protecting your inner space. It means having the courage to walk away, even if it hurts, from people who drain your energy, diminish your dreams, or treat your strength as a threat. It means taking on the responsibility of getting closer to those who inspire you, challenge you to grow, make you think bigger, and set you in motion. It means understanding that support isn't flattery. Support is someone who looks you in the eye and says, "You can do it. Go." Surround yourself with people who aren't terrified when you decide to change. Surround yourself with those who see potential in you, not limitations. Surround yourself with those who lift you up when you hesitate, not those who drag you down just because they don't want to walk alone. Insecurity loses its power when you live alongside people who remind you daily of your capabilities. And you deserve that kind of presence, strong, pure, and sincere. Ultimately, the question is simple. Who is close to you? Does it improve who you are, or push you away from the person you want to be? The answer to that question can determine the size of your life, because nobody grows in the wrong soil, and you weren't made to live small alongside people who feel threatened by your growth. Choose your company wisely, because shared courage multiplies and shared doubt does too. Number 6, educate the voice that speaks within you. There is a voice that walks with you every day, even before you open your eyes. It appears when you think about doing something different, when you need to choose a difficult path, when you look in the mirror, when you need to defend what you feel, when you are about to do something that requires courage. And if that voice is used to putting you down, it will make you believe you can't do it even before you try. It's that inner voice that says, "It's going to go wrong. You're not good enough. People are going to criticize you." Not because it's true, but because it has learned throughout its life to repeat its fears as if they were certainties. And you feel it when you think about asking for a raise and your head tells you that you don't deserve it. When you want to change careers and your mind says you don't have enough talent. When you want to be sincere in your relationship and your mind says you'll be rejected. When you think about starting a new project and your mind says you'll fail. The problem is that many people obey this voice without realizing it. They treat what it says as fact, follow its warnings as if they were safety net, when in reality, this voice is only trying to keep you stuck in the same place where you've always been. But there's something very important that the Stoics already knew very well. Your mind repeats what you've taught yourself and what you've allowed. If you feed yourself thoughts that weaken you, that inner voice becomes an enemy. But if you start talking to yourself as someone who wants to improve, that same voice transforms into the most powerful tool in your life. You don't need to silence that voice. You need to educate her. You need to teach her that she should support you. You need to make it clear every day that you no longer live under the control of insecurity. And this shows up in the details. When you say, "I can do it," even when you're trembling. When you congratulate yourself for small steps. When you create boundaries where you used to stay quiet. When you allow yourself to try without giving up prematurely. The moment you change the way you talk to yourself, your life changes too. Because insecurity doesn't come from other people, it comes from what you accept and hear from yourself. When you learn to control that voice, you learn to control your own life. And when that happens, nothing outside can truly stop you. If this idea resonated with you, go to the comments section and write, "Today, I choose to believe in myself." Because that's how a new voice begins to be born within you. Not the voice of fear, but the voice of someone who has finally decided to be who they truly are. Number 7, break the planning cycle. All fools have something in common. They are always preparing. This idea from Seneca perfectly describes what happens when insecurity takes control of your mind. You plan, you arrange everything, you revise 1,000 times, you create methods, but you never start. Because deep down, planning becomes a nice way to postpone the risk, a hiding place that looks like responsibility. You tell yourself that you're not ready yet, that you need to learn more, that you'll start when things are calmer. But deep down, you know you're just running away from the discomfort of acting. This happens when you spend weeks saying you're going to get back to training, but always put it off until Monday. When you promise to sort out your bills, but decide to wait until the month is lighter. When you want to start a business, but convince yourself you need more security first. When you avoid a serious conversation with your partner, thinking it's not the right time. When you spend months putting off updating your resume because you imagine something is still missing. The problem is that over-preparing creates a false sense of security, because the more you think, the more fears arise. Every detail you try to control becomes a new reason to procrastinate. Without realizing it, you enter a dangerous cycle. Thinking takes the place of acting, and imagining takes the place of living. This is what philosophers call paralysis by analysis, when you think so much about the path that you forget how to walk. That's exactly what the Old English poem about the centipede shows. She walked calmly, effortlessly, and without fear, until a curious frog asked how she moved all her legs. In trying to explain, she began to overthink each movement. She thought so much that suddenly she could no longer walk. Before, she walked because she trusted her own steps. She froze because she placed all her trust in her thoughts. And that's what happens to you too, when you overthink before acting. When you try to predict every possible mistake, when you imagine failure scenarios that don't even exist, when you revise, adjust, and plan so much that you lose the natural courage you would have if you simply took the first step. The mind exists to help you act, not to hold you back. And courage doesn't appear before the movement. It appears during movement. It's by walking that you discover you know more than you imagined, that you can do more than you thought, that fear diminishes when you enter into it, not when you try to control it from afar. Insecurity grows when you procrastinate. Confidence grows when you move forward. And the moment you break the cycle of endless planning and do what you need to do today, you remove fear from the commanding position and return control of your life to yourself. If this message resonated with you, write in the comments, "Today I act." Because when you take action, even if you make mistakes, you prove to yourself that you're no longer waiting for life to happen to you. You are at last living your life. Number 8. Practice discipline. There's something almost mysterious about discipline. It works even when the willpower disappears. This happens because discipline doesn't depend on your state of mind. It doesn't negotiate with your insecurities and doesn't ask if you're afraid. It simply demands that you do what needs to be done, especially on days when your mind tries to convince you to give up. Insecurity always tries to push you toward the more comfortable side, the side of, "I'll do it later, I'll start tomorrow, I'm not ready yet." Discipline, on the other hand, goes in the opposite direction. It calls you back to the present moment and reminds you that progress doesn't stem from feelings, but from the commitment you've decided to make. A disciplined person doesn't act because they feel invincible. They act because they choose to be firm. And that choice shows in the small gestures of real life. When you get out of bed on time even when you want to stay a little longer. When you train even without motivation. When you settle your bills even with a heavy heart. When you continue studying even when tired. When you keep your promises even when no one is watching. Discipline is that quiet movement of controlling oneself, removing what is superfluous and leaving only what truly matters. And there is a very clear truth. When you practice discipline, insecurity loses ground because each accomplished task, however small, shows day after day that you can do what you said you would do. Nothing builds confidence faster than consistently repeating small tasks. That's what makes someone feel grounded, confident, and in control of their own story. Being disciplined doesn't mean being flawless. It means being consistent. It's understanding that the life you dream of depends much more on what you do repeatedly than on the emotions that come and go. It's realizing that it's not your mood today that determines your future, but rather what you choose to do even when the day is difficult. When you choose discipline, you stop being a prisoner of your fear and become the creator of the person you are becoming. Because discipline is freedom. Freedom from yourself, from the impulses that pull you back, from the excuses that hold you back, and from the insecurity that tries to dominate you. It is this force that transforms ordinary days into true growth. And when you learn to keep going even in the toughest moments, you discover something that changes everything. You are stronger than your mood, more resilient than your fears, and far more capable than you ever imagined. Number 9. Stop trying to control what never depended on you. Much of their insecurity stems not from fear, but from the exhaustion of trying to control everything. You try to control what people think of you. Try to choose how people will respond. Try to predict every ending, every word, every reaction around you. You try to adjust everything so you won't be caught off guard, and that's precisely what leaves you exhausted. It's not life that's hard. It's the control you insist on holding on to. There's a phrase often used in psychology that says, anxiety arises in the space between what you want to control and what will never be within your grasp. It's precisely this distance that hurts you. Think about how many times you've stood still because you imagined all of someone's responses before they even opened their mouth. How many times have you rewritten a message 10 times out of fear of what the person would understand? How many nights have you lost replaying conversations in your mind, trying to figure out if you said the right thing? How many opportunities did you miss because you wanted a complete guarantee that nothing would go wrong? This type of control doesn't protect anyone, it imprisons them. The Stoics understood that the greatest emotional freedom stems from a simple choice. I do my part. The rest is not my responsibility. You don't decide whether people will like you, but you do decide whether you'll show up with sincerity. You don't choose whether your effort will be valued, but you do choose what you deliver. You don't control other people's behavior, but you do control your own boundaries. You don't control the outcome, but you do control the intention and the attitude that leads you there. When you try to control everything, you shrink. When you only take care of what is yours, you grow. Letting go of control isn't giving up. It's about choosing where it's worth spending energy. You weren't born to fix the whole world. You were born to adjust yourself. The practice is straightforward. The next time you feel the tension rising, ask yourself with complete honesty, does it depend on me, or am I trying to hold back the wind? If it's up to you, take action. If it doesn't depend on you, let go. Because the day you stop trying to control that which can never be controllable, insecurity is losing the power it fueled for so many years, and their peace finally returns. Number 10. Choose your freedom. Epictetus said that the most important work of philosophy is to answer the hidden cry within the soul, to make you truly feel, and thus free you from the control of your sorrows and fears. And almost nothing holds you back as much as insecurity, because it doesn't hold you back with chains but with stories you tell yourself. I can't, I won't succeed, I'll fail, they'll laugh at me. And little by little you begin to live confined within limits that never truly existed. Being free doesn't mean not being afraid, but rather not obeying fear. It means not letting it choose the size of your life, the people you associate with, the dreams you try to achieve, or the courage you save for another day. To be free is to reclaim everything that insecurity has taken from you, such as the right to act without seeking approval for your own doubts. The soul yearns for freedom when you spend too much time trying to be perfect, loved, praised, or well-regarded. It is this silent yearning that makes you feel like something is missing, even when you are doing everything right in the eyes of others. Insecurity creates an invisible prison. You can leave whenever you want, but you believe you lack the strength to do so. Philosophy and Stoicism set you free by reminding you of the simple things you've overlooked, that life is yours, that your steps are yours, that strength resides within you, and that no one has the right to decide your worth. To be free is to persevere even when afraid, to speak honestly, to walk with self-respect, to allow yourself to make mistakes without destroying your self-esteem. To be free is to stop living to fulfill the rules of others and begin to live following the person you chose to be inside, where no one sees, but where everything is born. When you throw away the weight of having to prove something to the world, you discover the lightness of living in peace with yourself. Number 11. Stop asking permission to exist. This is one of the deepest cuts you need to make within yourself if you truly want to start living your own life. For years, you've become accustomed to measuring every step by the gaze of others. Before speaking, you think about what they'll think. Before trying, you imagine who might criticize. Before dreaming, you wonder if someone will say it's too much for you. But here's the truth that changes everything. No one in the world has the authority to say how big your life is. No one has that right except you. When you live waiting for approval, you live small. You over-explain yourself, shrink yourself too much, apologize for existing in spaces where you should be standing tall. You adjust the tone of your voice, the brilliance of your talent, your desires, just so as not to bother those who don't even know what they carry inside their hearts. Every time you ask permission to be who you are, you reinforce the lie in your own mind that you don't deserve to occupy space. And that's how insecurity grows, in the silent repetition of, sorry, never mind, I'm not that important. But you were born to exist as a whole, not as an edited version of yourself. That's what Stoicism teaches when it talks about self-determination. Life only begins to take shape when your posture ceases to depend on the applause of others. There's a point in your journey where you need to stop kneeling before the opinions of others and start walking as someone who has conviction in their own soul. That point could be today. Stop and think. How many times have you kept silent to avoid displeasing someone? How many opportunities have you let slip away because you thought you didn't have permission to want more? How many dreams have you kept hidden just because someone said it was too difficult, too risky, or too big for you? All of this isn't a lack of ability. It's a lack of permission. Permission you insisted on placing in the wrong hands. The truth is simple and harsh. No one will validate you the way you expect. Not because you don't deserve it, but because seeking it outside yourself is betting on the wrong place. The first person who needs to recognize your worth is yourself. When you decide to exist without asking permission, something powerful happens. Your posture changes, your speech changes, your gaze changes. You stop walking bent over by fear and start walking guided by purpose. People begin to treat you according to the strength you show, not the weakness you hide. Accept this once and for all. You have the right to try, to fail, to learn, to grow, to desire more, to change course, to defend yourself, to occupy space, and to live a life that makes sense only to you, even if no one understands. Your existence doesn't need anyone's signature. It has already been authorized by life itself. And when you finally put yourself fully into the world, without asking permission to breathe, the fear diminishes, your voice gains firmness, and insecurity loses the place it occupied within you. Because there is no greater strength than that of someone who, after a long time of self-suppression, decides, I don't hide anymore. Number 12. Your ideal needs to be bigger than your fear. A person full of doubts doesn't stop because they are weak, but because they don't know which path to follow. When you don't understand what you're trying to create, any obstacle seems enormous. Any comment knocks you down, any problem leaves you lost, and your life becomes a series of timid steps that never reach where you dream of being. But when you have a clear goal, when you know where you're aiming, fear ceases to be a giant wall and becomes just a shadow on the ground. The Stoics already understood this. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself every day, reminding himself why he lived and worked, because he knew that the mind only stays strong when it understands why it is fighting. And you need that too. Imagine your ideal as a distant lighthouse, something that continues to shine even on days when everything seems heavy, even when you are exhausted, even when the will disappears. This lighthouse is not a loose dream or a perfect plan. It is the image of the person you want to become. And here comes the part that changes everything. Imagine the last day of your life. Who would you have liked to be? What qualities do you want to have cultivated? What kind of father, mother, partner, or professional do you want to look at and say, I did my best? Do you want to have been someone who ran from problems or someone who faced them head-on with firmness? Do you want to have spent your life letting fear control you, or do you want to have lived with courage? This exercise, which seems difficult, actually frees the mind. It cuts away the excess, clears away the mess, shows what is truly worthwhile, and makes clear what deserves your attention and what only gets in the way. When you create this ideal, each action ceases to be isolated and becomes part of something bigger. It's like assembling a table. You only use the right materials. You don't pick wood that doesn't match. You don't buy pieces that don't work. You don't carry anything useless. You only choose what helps to build it. Life works the same way. When you have a defined ideal, you make better choices. In your actions, in your conversations, in the people you associate with, in the limits you set, and in the habits you cultivate. You start acting like someone who is building character, not just passing the time. And then something profound happens. What used to scare you begins to lose its power. The opinions of others don't weigh so heavily. The past doesn't hold you back as much. Criticism doesn't bring you down, because you realize you're not here to please the whole world. You're here to live according to who you've chosen to be. Purpose doesn't cause confusion. Purpose brings direction. It protects you from getting lost, prevents you from being led astray by others, and distances you from values that aren't your own. It brings a silent strength, the strength of someone who wakes up knowing that every step, however small, helps build something true. When your ideal becomes bigger than your fear, you finally stop hiding and truly begin to live. Number 13. Honor every small victory as proof of ability, not as chance or fleeting luck. Insecurity has a dangerous trick. It makes you believe that everything you achieve is too small to be valued, or worse, that any success you've had happened by luck, coincidence, or because someone made it easy for you. This type of thinking destroys your confidence at its root, because it teaches your mind to ignore the real evidence of your strength and to see only what is still lacking. But the truth is simple and powerful. Every small victory you have, however small it may seem, is concrete evidence that you are capable. It's not chance, it's not luck, it's not an accident, it's merit. Think about how many times you promised yourself something and finally fulfilled it. How many times you got out of bed, even when you didn't want to. How many times you calmly responded when everything inside you wanted to explode. How many times you avoided an addiction, a temptation, a distraction, even if only for a few minutes. All of this counts. All of this is practice. All of this is evolution. But out of habit, you ignore these moments because you think only the great achievements deserve recognition. And that's one of the biggest mistakes. The human mind learns through reinforcement. And when you celebrate your small victories, you reinforce to yourself that you are progressing, that you are growing, that you are building real strength. But when you disregard these victories, your mind learns something else, that nothing you do is enough. And that's how the feeling of inadequacy is born. The impression that you are always falling behind, that you never do enough, that you are always indebted to yourself and to others. Marcus Aurelius said that inner progress is perceived in the simplest acts, and that's exactly what you need to understand now. Victory isn't just about the great result, it's about the journey, the step you take toward the life you want to live. Every small choice aligned with your purpose is a brick laid in the construction of your confidence. But most people want to skip the process. They want the perfect body without training, emotional peace without discipline, confidence without ever having faced their own fears, respect without ever having respected themselves first. But with you, it won't be like that. From today onward, every small step forward will be treated as it should be. A test that you are moving forward. A test that your will is greater than your doubt. A test that you are already becoming a different person. When you see yourself as the protagonist of these small movements, your confidence begins to grow from the inside out, silently, firmly, and consistently. So make that commitment now. From today onward, when you accomplish a task that you previously put off, acknowledge it. When you behave better than you would have in the past, acknowledge it. When you take a small but honest step in the right direction, acknowledge it. Because it's not luck that builds a strong person, it's the habit of recognizing one's own progress. Honoring your small victories is honoring your own path. It's remembering that every gesture matters and that every step forward, however small it may seem, is taking you exactly where you want to go. And when you cultivate this vision, you not only destroy insecurity, you create a confidence so deep that no one can take it away from you. Number 14. Start being yourself. At some point in your life, did you learn to cut pieces of yourself out of yourself just to fit into places that were too small? Did you learn to speak more softly so as not to upset anyone? To want less so as not to seem arrogant? To hide what you know how to do so as not to cause envy? And without noticing, you became a smaller version of what you could be. But there's a force inside that knows this isn't right. A force that calls you to break free from this cramped life you've created to try and protect yourself. Being yourself isn't simple. It's an act of courage. It's deciding not to apologize for your intensity, accepting your sensitivity without shame, recognizing your intelligence without shrinking back, and standing firm even when your voice still trembles. The truth is, nobody feels insecure for being small. Insecurity arises because deep down you realize you're bigger than you imagine, that there's a stronger, more ready, more serious version of yourself, but you fear the emotional effort it takes to grow to that size. You feel this calling when you want to be a better father, but doubt your patience, when you want to take on a bigger role at work, but fear you won't be able to keep up, when you feel you deserve a fairer relationship, but are afraid to ask for respect, when you realize you need to change your life, but fear you won't be able to sustain the choice. Insecurity arises precisely in these moments, not because you are weak, but because deep down you know you are being pushed towards something higher. Insecurity tries to convince you to be less, to not show up, to not commit to anything, to close your heart, to avoid risks. But the truth is, your life only changes when you decide to be more. More honest with himself, finally saying this is no longer useful. More true to what he feels, recognizing when he is tired, sad, or when he is mistreating himself. More committed to what they believe in, choosing to be a better professional, even when no one is watching. More present as a father or mother, even when exhaustion weighs heavily. Being more loving as a partner, even when pride tells you to disappear. Being more in real life is exactly that. Choosing the version of yourself that does what is right, not the one that hides. It's accepting the size of your own life, even when that size scares you, because being real doesn't push away those who matter. It only pushes away those who should never stay. And when you stop conforming to what the world expects, you discover a freedom that no one can give you but yourself. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are not strong enough to forget that we have achieved something powerful beyond our understanding. It is our light, not our shadow, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, beautiful, talented, amazing? But the real question is, who are you to know what are you? You came from something bigger. Thinking small doesn't serve the world. There's no kindness in shrinking or hiding just so other people won't feel insecure around you. We were all made to shine as children shine. We were born to show the good that's inside us. And this doesn't just happen to some, it happens to everyone. When we let our light shine, we unintentionally give permission for others to do the same. And when we let go of our own fear, our mere presence helps other people let go as well. If this video resonated with you, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching.